What's up, everyone? This is Mr. Fresh. So earlier this year, 2024, Kali Linux came out with a image that is very different than any of the images that I have seen previously. This image is designed for a USB stick or to be run as a live image, and it is also designed to be ran on air-gapped networks. And it is approximately 13 gigabytes in size. So in today's episode, I want to show you how you can get this image, install it in a few different ways, get it up and running, and maybe add a little bit of persistence to it. So let's go ahead and get started.
You can hide no longer. You now have the world looking directly at you. Up roll, red roll. Engaged.
So the first thing that I am going to do is open up my Firefox web browser and head over to the main page for Kali Linux, which is at kali.org. And right here in the center of the page, you have this download link. It'll take you to another page, and we are interested in the images that fall under the category of live boot. So when you get to that point on this page, you're going to be presented with a couple different options, and you have images for 64-bit architecture, images for 32-bit architecture, and you have images for the Apple Silicon chipset or architecture. Now you'll notice if you click on any of these other ones, your options are going to be more limited. You only have two different images. You basically cannot get this image for the 32-bit architecture or for Apple Silicon. So this image that I am talking about, it's only available in 64-bit architecture, and it's over here on the right. It's called everything, and you can see that it is meant to be an image for air-gapped networks, and it is saying that it's approximately 12 gigabytes in size. After I downloaded it, it was actually more than 13 gigabytes in size. But another thing that you're quickly going to notice is that unlike these other options, there is no direct download over HTTPS. You are going to have to download this as a torrent, and therefore you're going to need some type of BitTorrent client to do this. So the one that I use to do this is called Transmission, and I believe it's already pre-installed on Ubuntu. So I'm going to just open that up and show you what that looks like. I have already done this to save time, but it's pretty straightforward. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to want to do here is you're actually going to want to download the torrent file. Now when you click on this, this is not going to download the image. This is downloading a torrent file that you can then use in a BitTorrent client of your choice to go out and get the image. So if I just click on torrent, it's going to give you this little pop-up. I click OK, and for me it downloads things from my browser's connection to my downloads directory. You can see it's a .torrent file. I already have downloaded it, so I'm not going to download it again, but it's just a very small file, 1 megabyte in size, and it's a BitTorrent seed file more specifically. So let me go ahead and hit cancel. So once you have downloaded that torrent file, you also are going to want to get your checksum to verify the integrity and authenticity of the image, which is always a good thing to do. It's a SHA-256 sum. You just click on that sum, get the checksum, and to save time, I have done a few things. One, I've already downloaded the torrent file. I've already used my BitTorrent client, which is Transmission, to go out and get the image, and I've already verified the checksum. So if I come over here to my terminal emulator, you can see that I've already ran the SHA-256 sum command line utility on this image. This is the image that I used my Transmission BitTorrent client to go out and download. When I do ls-lh on it, it comes back as approximately 32 gigabytes in human readable format. And when I ran the SHA-256 sum command line utility, this is the hash that was generated, and this is the hash that I just took off of the web page. I paste that into the command line and just taking a quick visual, giving it a visual inspection or whatnot. You can see that the hashes do in fact match. Now, just to show you what it would look like if you were actually running a BitTorrent client like transmission, you basically are going to click on open, and then you want to find that BitTorrent seed file, which is this one right here. I would click on that and hit open, and for me it's going to give me an issue because it doesn't want to add a duplicate client because I've already done this, but that's pretty much all you have to do. And then I believe you have to click start torrent and it'll actually start the download. Obviously you need a connection to the internet to do this, and it would take a bit of time. It's a very large image, 13 gigabytes in size, but for me it said it would take approximately 4 hours. It actually took much less than that. I think it took about 2 hours for me to get that. So once you have done all of that, then the next step is going to be to obviously perform the installation. And real quick here, because this is going to come up later in the video, we go back over here to the home page for Kali Linux. We're going to click on documentation, and we're looking for the USB section. I'm going to click on that, and there's going to be a link here for how to add persistence to a Kali Linux Live USB drive. It's this one right here. You're going to want to have this information available for you at some point. I will run through the commands on the command line, but these are where I'm actually pulling the commands from, is from this section right here over in the documentation for the USB persistence from Kali Linux. So I will keep that on the side to reference later. Okay, so the next step is going to be to figure out how and on what you want to install this very large image. I've done this a few different ways, and one of those ways was to install it onto a external SSD drive. And if you're going to go that option, I think a good utility, very easy to use to accomplish that, would be Blana Etcher. I've done some previous videos on how to get that, get it installed, get it up and running, etc. and so forth. For me, I know I have a copy of the app image saved in my downloads directory, and that is what it looks like. So I can go ahead and start that up. I do not actually have it installed as a traditional binary would be, but I have the app image right there, so I'll just do // followed by the name of the app image. And if you get any issues, remember you do need to make it executable by running chmod +x on that. But let me go ahead and enter and wait for that to start up. Once again, this is an option if you want to install this on some type of external form of media like a USB stick or an SSD drive. I would suggest not doing a USB stick because this is such a large image. It's going to be very slow and you're going to probably end up more frustrated than anything. So I would choose some type of SSD drive. And if you were going to do that, pretty straightforward. Just click on Flash from File, go into your downloads directory or wherever your images are located, find the image for the Kali Linux everything Airgapped network, click open, and then select your target. And this is where at this point I would plug in my USB stick or my SSD drive and choose that under the select target, and then click flash, and I'll go ahead and do it. Pretty straightforward. Now I'm going to do it a little differently because you have to keep in mind that I am trying to record all of this and screen record, so it's going to be it's going to not come out as good if I try to change the camera over to looking at a laptop. So I'm going to do this a little differently, and we are going to use VirtualBox. And VirtualBox is just another great way that you can get this image up and running, and you could use this on your host machine, whether it be a Linux-based, whether it be a Linux machine or a Windows machine. So let me go ahead and open up VirtualBox. I have already done this. You can see down here it is called Kali Airgapped. Now I'm going to go ahead and do this again and start from the beginning. So first thing I'm going to do is right click on this and click remove, and I want to delete all files, and we're going to start again. Alright, so I've done this many times. I've done many videos on this. That's why I have all these other VirtualBox machines over here on the left hand side. So the first thing that we're going to want to do here is come up to new, click on new, and name your virtual machine. I'm going to call it Kali Airgapped, and under version we want that to be, well, under type we want that to be Linux, and then under version it can be Oracle 64-bit. We'll click next. For memory size, I'm going to increase it a little bit because I'm able to do so, and I will click create, and next, and next. And for the size of the virtual hard disk, this image is bigger than the default given here, so you know that that's not going to work. Since this is a pretty big image, I'm going to go ahead and bring this up to about 42 gigabytes in size, and click create. Okay, so now we have all of that out the way. The next step is going to be to come up here to settings, and I'm going to click on system and processor, and because I have more CPUs, I can do this. If you don't have enough CPUs, you're not going to be able to do this, but I definitely want to increase it from 1 to say 4, and then I will click on display, and I'm going to increase the video memory size all the way to 128 megabytes, and I'm going to enable 3D acceleration. And the next thing is click on storage, come over here under storage devices, under controller IDE, click on empty, come over here to the right hand side, click on the virtual optical disk image icon, and for me, I already should have a shortcut. It's right here, but if you're doing this for the first time, just click on choose a disk file. It'll take you to your file system, browse through your file system where you have the image located, and click on it. So for me, I've already done this, so I created a shortcut, so I'll click on that, and now we have essentially linked the actual ISO image that we downloaded using our BitTorrent client. We've linked it to this VirtualBox virtual machine so that it can find that image and boot into it. With that out the way, I think that's going to be it for the settings, so I'll click OK. And now we should be able to hopefully boot into our Kali Linux air-gapped image for the first time. So I'm going to come up here and click on Start. I'm going to X out of some of these pop-ups, and very quickly, I'm not even editing the video anyway, almost immediately it brought us straight to the boot menu for Kali Linux. So you go ahead and get rid of some of this background stuff. That was very quick. I'm just going to boot into the very first one, which is going to be the live system AMD 64. So I'll hit enter and exit out of these pop-ups. And there we are. So that did not take very much time at all. We are now presented with the default desktop environment for our Kali Linux air-gapped image. We'll go ahead and increase the size of this a little bit so we can see it better. And one of the many wonderful things about this image is that it already has pretty much everything that you need pre-installed including guest editions for VirtualBox. So you can see I'm able to resize the screen without any issues there, which is always very, very nice. All right, so here we are. We're presented with the default desktop interface. And at this point, all I'm really trying to do in the video is just kind of explore it. I don't want to utilize any tools. I just want to explore it and show you guys just the massive amount of stuff that is installed on this for you. And once you see all of this, it kind of begs the question, well, why would you not do it this way? Why would you go another way and install a smaller image when you know you're most likely just going to update and upgrade it, and you're going to spend 3 weeks installing a bunch of tools onto this, and it's going to take a very long time? Why not just go this route? I'm not really seeing any short side to this, but I'm going to first open up the desktop settings, and I do just want to change the background because I won't say I don't like this background, but there are some other backgrounds that I would prefer over this, a little more pleasing to the eye. And there are a lot of wallpapers that have been provided with this image. Most of these seem to be new, quite a few. So I'm just going to pick one here, and we will use this one. Okay, so next thing is going to be to come up here to the upper left and click on the applications shortcut menu. And it's like any other Kali Linux distribution in the way that it is structured. You have, all of your various categories over here on the left. But let's just take a quick look at some of these, and you're going to very quickly see that there is just massive amount of tools, so many more tools that are installed on this than you might typically be accustomed to. So under vulnerability analysis, we have Ps, which is not typically there. Stress testing is something that is, I believe, not typically there, so all of those would normally not be there. If I go to web application analysis, some of the things that I see are this right here, which I believe is referred to as PAROS. That's not typically there. I don't think Web Scarab is typically there. There's just so many things. I don't want to spend 30 minutes of a video going through them, but you do just have to take a quick glance at some of these. So let's look at database assessment. Some of these are newer entries, password attacks. We got the rainbow crack down here. Let's look at wireless attacks. So definitely a lot of new entries here in the wireless attacks. Some of these utilities in this section, chirp. We have our software defined radio section, RFID, NFC, other wireless tools. I mean, look at all these. There's just so many additional tools. Bluetooth tools, got our 802.11 tools. Okay, what's next? Reverse engineering. A lot of these tools are additional entries, bytecode viewer, APK tool, Java Snoop, JDEX GUI, Ghidra, Ali Debug. These are all tools that typically do not come installed by default. Exploitation tools. This one at the end is definitely new. Terminator, whatever that is. Shell Noob. Kali Autopilot is something new. They talk about that on their blog. Armitage has been installed. Sniffing and spoofing. You can see we got a lot of additional entries here. Ferret and Hamster are typically not installed. And you also have some C2 frameworks that, well, that would be in the next section. So we have something called Above, which I've not accustomed to seeing. It's a visible network protocol sniffer. Scapy has been installed. Take a look at post exploitation. We have a lot of additional entries in post exploitation. Bloodhound, Havoc, which is a C2 framework. There's a couple C2 frameworks that have been added onto this. I believe Shelter is another one that has been added to this. Villain and Veil are also, Villain is a C2 framework, not necessarily Veil, but so a lot of different things that have been added. We take a look at forensics. You can also see that plenty of additional entries have been added here. Social engineering tools and system services. We have some additional things up here. So you get the hint. There's a lot of stuff. Too much to go into detail on any one particular utility, but there is a lot more on this system than just what you see under the applications menu, because there's a lot of things on here that maybe don't even have their own icon. So another thing that you might want to do is just open up a terminal, and you could actually just browse, you know, the binaries themselves by going into something like user bin. And if we take a look inside of this directory, you'll actually see a lot of binaries in here that have been added to the system. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to open up my terminal emulator, increase the size of the font, and one of the things that you could do is you could run the command apt list -- installed, and that will list packages that are installed on the system, and I can rerun that, pipe that into word count with a -L, and that tells me that according to apt list there's roughly 4,594 packages installed on the system. So some of the things that people like to install on to Kali Linux after they have done the initial install are going to be things like Docker. Well, guess what? Docker's already been installed, pre-installed inside of this image. So I can do sudo docker image ls, and we don't have any actual Docker images, but we do have the Docker utility, or package itself installed on here. So I can actually do docker -- help, to pull up the help menu. Docker -- version. So yeah, so we have Docker installed on here. We also have ADB that has already been installed on the system. So if I do which ADB, you see that that is installed. We also have Tor. It's already been installed. So a lot of things that you might spend a lot of time going out and finding and installing on your own, they've already been taken care of. It's already been installed in this image. It's a very large image, too many tools to go over, but I just want to give you guys a quick look at that and show you that you can get this up and running inside of a VirtualBox, as well as installing it onto a USB stick or SSD drive. Okay, so one of the last things that I want to show you is if you want to add persistence to your live image. Say for example you're running this on a laptop off a USB stick, you want to add persistence to it so that the work that you do is saved on the system after reboots. That's why I had this page that I pulled up here earlier in the video, and this is how you would do that. I've done this in previous videos, so I'm actually not going to go over this again. I have some previous videos I've done this in. I can point you in that direction, but it's very straightforward. You just follow just read over the page and follow the instructions on this page, and that will walk you through adding persistence to your installation. So for me, I'm gonna just leave this as this. This is a live. Hope you guys got something out of this video, and as always, if you haven't done so already, I surely would appreciate it if you could subscribe to the channel, like the video, and videos. And if you have something positive to share, please do so. And with that being said, hey man, this is Mr. Fresh.
Stay fresh.
And I'll see you in the next one.